I left all my love in Boston. I guess way too damn much.
Well, thank you for joining us again today. Today, this is
postcards.
just kind of the fun interview, getting to know you a little bit. We'll use this, on our website, social channels, and kind of help hopefully get the word out to people about you. And just kind of, so very, very low key, easygoing kind of day, kind of morning today.
So we just want to get to know a little bit more about you today. So that's kind of what we're starting off with. So if you could you please just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, anything about you that you feel is significant to who you are today?
Yeah, totally. So let's see. I grew up in Massachusetts in a small town near Boston, and I went to school out there and everything. And when I graduated high school, I ended up joining the military, and left for boot camp literally like, I don't know, a month after I graduated. And so that ended up taking me to California, and I was in San Diego for a while, just doing that. And it wasn't really my favorite thing in the world. Just didn't really enjoy it. Didn't really, I got along with people, but it was just a different lifestyle, and it's not the type of lifestyle that I thought that I could fit into well. So then while I was doing that, I started playing more. Like, I played guitar throughout high school. It was kind of like an on and off thing. And I also like never sang in front of anybody until I moved to California. And then, I started doing open mics and like writing a little bit more and getting a little bit more comfortable, getting cool opportunities and all that stuff. So this past June, or July, I finally left the military, got out, and moved to Maryland. I'm going to school at American University, so that's kind of what took me here, and that's basically where I'm at now.
Cool. Which branch of the military were you in?
I was in the Marines.
Marines, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so that's interesting. You say you kind of played guitar in high school and didn't sing until you got to California. What kind of, I guess, brought that about? Was it just the opportunity to do so? And what did that take for you to kind of suddenly get up in front of people and, and sing for the first time, kind of perform in a different way? That's a lot.
Yeah. So I was really involved in music. I mean, before I thought about the military, I would audition to go to a music school, and I got in, but it was for trumpet. But I had a life change, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I've always been interested in music, and I've always loved playing guitar, the idea of playing guitar. It first started with like, like bands like Blink-182, pop punk, stuff like that. And then that kind of transitioned into bands like the Black Keys and Cage the Elephant, towards like later high school and a little bit of that like early military career. And I don't know, I wanted to be in a band or do like perform for people, but I didn't want to play trumpet because that's just not like that's a very specific type of performance that I didn't want to get into. And I didn't play any other instruments, and the idea of me like playing guitar for somebody else, like it could be fun, but I just had so many like things I wanted to write about, talk about, that I was like, I'll just try the singer-songwriter thing. And yeah, getting the confidence to sing in front of people was hard. I still have this thing where I can't really sing confidently in front of like directly in front of my mom and my sister or my girlfriend. Like, I just can't do it. But yeah, I think some of the things that helped was I would go to some of like the beaches in San Diego, and I would just like busk and just play, and like getting used to the idea that you can play and people may not listen. People may not even acknowledge your existence. But that doesn't mean that you're bad. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't play. It just means that, people are going through whatever they're going through, and they might not even notice you. So that kind of got me the confidence to go to my first open mic. And then when I went to that first open mic, the exact same thing happened. Like, it was just a random bar. It was super loud. I don't even think anybody could see me. And I got down and I was like, okay, that was terrible, but I'm good. Started, playing at more open mics, playing in better-ish venues, writing a lot more. And eventually it got me the confidence to put music out online, and you know, like trial and error, writing songs that were not good, recording songs that were not good. I eventually put out an EP and then just like got better gigs.
Cool.
So I'm curious, what is the songwriting process like for you? You mentioned that you didn't really start until later in your life. I just wonder, like, the whole songwriting process, the recording process, like what do you do that helps you with that whole process?
Yeah. So when most of the time it'll start with just like a really like small idea. Most of the time, like I'll either be driving or I'll be in the shower and I'll get like a melody, or I'll get some idea that I really want to try and build upon. But for the most part, it's just I sit down, I get like comfortable, you know, I make sure I don't have anything crazy else going on for the rest of the day. Um, and I get comfortable, I get my guitar, and I just kind of start strumming, playing whatever comes to mind first. Um, and I'll just start kind of humming melodies to myself as I'm playing. But I've noticed that if I kind of force something to come out, or like if I force a song to come out, then it doesn't really work out. It kind of has to come from like an honest place, and it kind of just has to come naturally. So like the song I submitted, Love in Boston, it was like I wasn't necessarily thinking about a person that I left in Boston, but I was thinking about just how much I missed Boston in general. And so it came out really naturally. I didn't have to force any of the lyrics. And that's kind of what it is for me. And that's what I tell other people. Like, it just has to come from a really honest place. Even if the song itself isn't 100% true or honest, it just has to come from a very honest place.
Very cool.
Yeah, that is.
Right now that you find really influential, or any artist that you admire or whose work you think is, you know, something you'd like to emulate or it just inspires you?
Yeah. Let's see, if I had to give like a top three, I'd probably do the Lumineers have always been a huge influence for me. They were the band that really got me to get into like folk. You know, I loved the whole robust, like imperfect vibe that they gave off, because in a way that itself was perfect. So I always have to give it to them. I recently started listening to Noah Gunderson a lot more, and he's just a very honest songwriter. Like for one, he's an extremely good vocalist, and he can just take like a very simple guitar part and match it with a really, really passionate vocal melody, and then he'll just write some of the most honest songs. And so yeah, I really appreciate that. Let's see, the third one, I think I would have to give it to the Black Keys. They're really the band that got me into guitar in the first place, and every now and then I still find myself going back to that like old made in a basement garage blues rock. So and eventually for future projects, I really hope that I can kind of record an EP or an album that'll just be that, you know, like it'll be as if I'm just like in a garage, even though it's like a studio with like some people just jamming some blues songs. So yeah, those three for sure.
Nice.
So when you record now, how does that look? Where do you usually record, and like, have you ever been in a studio before?
Yeah, so I have been. Right now with my current songs, I'm actually recording in this room. You can't really see it, but I have these studio panels up on the sides. I've kind of sound treated a little bit, covered the window, and I have a bunch of mics set up. So I use this kind of as like the main place to record current songs. I have been in a studio before, and it's really a good experience for sure. But I've found, especially with my songs, that it comes down to the vibe. And like there's a song I wrote, I haven't released it yet, but there's a song I wrote and recorded in a professional studio, and it sounds really good. And it was fun to record, and it really does sound good, but it's just missing like it's missing something, you know. And it's just because like in the moment I just wasn't feeling it, or like I wasn't as comfortable, so that vibe wasn't 100% there. But other songs, the songs that I released on that first EP of mine, those are recorded in a more like home studio vibe, and you can really feel that vibe, and they might be a little bit more robust or not put together, but I think the vibe kind of makes up for that.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Mm.
One thing, you mentioned, we discussed this just a little bit the last time, and I was so interested in this, that you're studying psychology, I believe, and you talked about wanting to go into like therapy or counseling. And I got to thinking about that and just talk about, I guess, what parallels are there for you between counseling, therapy, that kind of work, and songwriting and connecting with people through music?
I think a lot of people, myself included, just want a good way to represent what they're feeling. You know, I've been in situations where I've had extremely complex, extremely painful emotions that I just didn't know how to even begin to unravel. And I would hear a song that just would, just even a little bit, like it would kind of speak to those emotions. And so that's kind of how I see those two things linking up together. I remember there was actually, it's not even he's not even a singer songwriter really, but there's a late rapper that I used to listen to, and he had some absolutely amazing, extremely honest, just like really, really raw songs. And it's just something about knowing that somebody else, especially at that level, is going through something, and knowing that somebody is able to put what you're feeling out into the world, into words, is just very comforting. So yeah, I still want to get into counseling. I guess like it's not like I want to do that at the same time as doing the singer-songwriter thing, and just kind of see which one is better for my life. But the end goal of just trying to help people cope with emotions is basically the same.
Yeah. Has the pandemic affected your songwriting, to that extent over the last year?
Yeah, definitely. I love going to open mics. I just think listening to other people perform, even if they're not like, I guess like professional or whatever, I just love seeing what other people put out. I love being in the environment where you get to put out and share pieces with people, and it's just a really welcoming environment. And those have been closed ever since like the early start of the pandemic. And so you don't really, especially like since I moved across country, you don't really experience that unity. You don't really get to create with other people as much, or at least listen to what other people are up to. So yeah, that's been pretty rough in terms of like creativity. It's kind of giving me a little bit of a writer's block, but I'm figuring my way around that. Normal gigs are hard too. Like as much as I love to perform at like regular gigs, I also perform at, you know, like wineries and stuff like that. And I've only been able to do like one or two just because you just, nobody's looking for that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I did get really fortunate though last year, September timeframe. One of my favorite bands was doing like this socially distanced concert, and they asked me to open up for them. And so I got really lucky to get that opportunity, and I'm hoping that as things kind of open up again, or as other bands start to do that as well, I can ask them if I can tag along.
Cool.
So do you think that your future will always include music? Do you think you'll always try to work that into your life in some way?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't even imagine it without it. I was thinking about this last night actually, but yeah, one way or another, like even if I don't get to like even semi-professional status, if whatever that may be, I'm still gonna play every day, write every day, perform at open mics. You know, eventually when I have kids, I'll play for them, or maybe try to encourage them to play if they want to. Yeah, I'll always just have it around. I don't think I could ever just not play music.
Mm-hmm.
So with this contest, of course, you are our grand champion, grand prize winner of our first ever song contest, and hopefully your $5,000 has gotten to you by now and has been in your hands. Okay.
Yeah.
How will that kind of help you move forward? What doors does that open for you? You know, what are you going to kind of use that for in your career?
So I'm gonna dedicate it to releasing an album. I thought a lot about what I wanted to do. I thought about either going to like a top tier producer and just having like one song get recorded, or like having like a bunch of different music videos and stuff. But no, I decided I'm gonna record an album, and I'm gonna use that as a chance to kind of connect with some more upper level producers. Um, Not necessarily because they have like the gear, even though they do have really good gear, but mainly just producers that I look up to, some of my favorite artists to views, try to reach out to them and work something out. Um, so that it's not only like it's not just like me going to them so that I can record my stuff, but more so like we're working together. Like I have these ideas and I'm like, hey, you can record this, but I would also love the input that you had for this person, you know. And I'm hoping that that space and that energy can push this album to where it needs to go, you know, at least give it a little bit of a nudge to where um, more people are like, "Ooh, this is really great. Let me check this out." You know.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you would like people to know about your music?
Um, let's see. I try to be as honest and not like too raw, but raw. You know, like I think, kind of going back to the whole emotions thing. Like I think like there are a lot of really powerful emotions that go on in different aspects of the world. You know, there's things about love that I write about, or leaving somebody, or just like overall mental health, anxiety, all these things. Um, and so I try to write songs in a way that I think is fitting, and in a way that I think portrays those emotions accurately. And I also try to avoid like being like too cliche, but also too, I don't know what's the word, insensitive, I guess. Like I try to respect those emotions as well, but I just try to keep them as honest as possible. So I think that's the main thing about my songwriting. So like there are some songs where like it'll just be like it'll sound like thinking of one song I have in mind. It's called Credence Song. It was a very, very raw song. Like, and I had a little bit of swears in it, and it was just very raw, but it worked. So not every song is going to be like me basically like crying on the mic, swearing and stuff. But that's the idea.
How did you choose Love in Boston to enter in this contest? What is that? Is that your favorite song, the one you're most proud of, or what, I guess, what made you decide that was the one?
I think I'm most proud of that song for sure. I'll admit when I first wrote it, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was kind of dumb, and I had like a bunch of different versions for it. I didn't like how it sounded, and I had a bunch of different versions for it. But after working with some people and like kind of figuring out what worked best, it slowly started to turn into my favorite and other people's favorites as well. And so yeah, it's just something about like how I play it now, something about the guitar part, and just like um how just like simple yet capturing it is. Um and I also, when I recorded it, like for my songs on Spotify and stuff, when I recorded it, I was in that home environment, but I was at my friend's house. This guy Aaron Bowen produced it for me, and the energy and the vibe that he just captured in that recording session was just absolutely like unreal. So yeah, it's probably by far now my favorite song, gone from my least favorite to my favorite. So
That's awesome. We love it. I can't ever imagine not liking that song. That's awesome.
So you mentioned something that makes me wonder, do you show your songs to anyone in particular? Do you like, is that something that you want people to like help you navigate, whether you want to release it or whether you want to record it, or do you have like that support there, or like who is that support for you?
yeah, I have a handful of people. I have my girlfriend. I mean, we live together, so she has to hear the best and worst of my takes. So there's that. And I I have a handful of friends from San Diego that like I've made music with and played with, and I really trust their creative abilities. So I show it to them a lot. I have a friend in Nashville who just moved there, and him and I are very similar in terms of like songwriting process. And so I'll go to him and I'll make sure that I'm not just like writing something absolutely terrible or something that doesn't make sense. And then I also have some like old friends from school that I still talk to, and I just kind of get their opinion, because as much as I want to keep the songs honest, I also want to make sure that they're catchy enough to catch some people's ears. So
Yeah.
if somebody who doesn't like folk music at all can be like, "Oh, this sounds nice," and I know I'm in a right direction. So it's probably in total about like a circle of 4 or 5 people that I show every song to.
That's really cool.
So what do you do? You've got school, you've got music. Do you have time to do anything else outside of those things, or are those your kind of two main emphasis right now?
Oh no, there's no extra time. Like, there's literally no extra time. Even this week I have so many school projects that I have to kind of work on. But it's pretty crazy. And last year it was even worse because I was still working, but I was also doing online classes on top of recording and playing songs. But I kind of like that because it keeps me from getting lazy. It keeps me on my toes. And I'm the type of person who performs better when under pressure or when under like a time constraint. So having a short timeline for everything that I do kind of helps.
I can relate.
I was gonna say I'm exactly that way.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's not too bad.
So how can fans support you, and where can they find more about you and your music?
So I use Instagram the most. That's kind of where I connect with people the most, and I try to be engaging and also reach out to anybody that talks to me. I just like developing relationships with people. So yeah, if they wanted to follow me on Instagram, that would be the preferred method. And my music is on all major streaming services, but I definitely push Spotify the most. And just giving the songs a listen is the best that somebody could do. I don't expect somebody to share it with their friends or donate however much or do whatever, but if one person listens and saves it to a profile or to their playlist, or one person connects, then that's all I can ask for. That's all I really want.
Cool. Okay. Kylie, I think we've worked through our list of questions. Vince, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to tell us? Again, anything as you think, hopefully this will go out to, some new folks who aren't as familiar with you, anything else that you'd like to share with them or with the world, the Vince story?
No, I mean, I think I got everything. I just want to stress the importance of just like taking care of yourselves in general. Personally, for me, have been through the ringer in terms of like events in life and things that have happened, and so I just hope that regardless of if you're a fan of my music or fan of music in general or whatever you're going through in life, I just hope that you are able to take the time to take care of yourselves and really try to, I don't know, fight through the worst days, because there can always be better days around the corner. So that's all I really got for you guys.
Well, that's a very good message. That's awesome, and that's totally our thought process at KaiCam, and why our company exists actually, is to try to help people, try to put some inspiration into the world and help people get through things. So thank you for being part of our KaiCam family now.
Yeah, thank you guys for
sure. We'll stay in touch with you. And please stay in touch with us. When you just as things are popping for you, if you get stuff recorded, if you've got performances, if we're ever in DC, I would love to come hear you play.
Yeah, totally.
Hang in touch with us. And Kylie, any other thoughts from you?
Yeah, I have just one real quick question for you. Is there anything that you would like us to do to help you in any way? We talked about the press release, which we are planning on getting out very soon.
Yep.
So is there anything else that you would like us to help you with, or that we could offer you in some way?
No, I mean, you guys have already done more than enough. This has been an unreal experience, and I don't think I'll ever be able to thank you guys enough. It was really amazing, like asking people to help me out with this and having people that I barely talk to share it with their friends and like view it with their families. It was a really community building experience. So I think just the simple act of being in a contest has already done so much for my music, let alone like actually winning. Like you guys have done so much, so I can never ask for anything else or any more.
Well, if things pop into your head, let us know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. Go enjoy the rest of your freezing cold day out there. And like I said, stay in touch with us when you can.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much.
All right, cool. Thanks. Vince. Take care.
You too. Bye.